Hey, my name's Nicole Duelli, and I am here today with Canadians for Homeopathy, just wanting to share with you a little bit of information about a very relevant topic, the measles. It's been in the news lately. We've had over 200 cases in Canada since January of 2025. And so I've never seen a case of the measles, but I can tell you that homeopathy has had a long history. We've had many homeopaths who have used homeopathic medicines to help relieve some of the symptoms of measles and help manage symptoms, reduce recovery time. And so I wanted to share a little bit of that information with you today. Now, measles is a reportable illness. If you suspect that someone in your family has the measles, please do reach out to your medical doctor. Make sure you get a proper diagnosis so we can help stop the spread. You'll want to self-isolate. And just so you know, there are 4 stages. You can find that information on the Health Canada website, but I'm just going to give you a quick rundown right now. So first of all, we've got the incubation stage. In that stage, you won't have symptoms yet, or your child won't have symptoms yet. It lasts about 7 to 21 days. And the next stage is kind of a generic cold symptoms stage. Symptoms begin, but it will be more like a cold, a runny nose, a cough. The eyes will be runny, sensitive to light. They might be streaming. There is one identifying feature in this stage, these complex spots. They are just inside the cheek. They're little white dots. You can look for those if you think that maybe your child has the measles. Now, next is the rash stage. And in the rash stage, measles is more obvious because of the rash. It's very characteristic. So it's kind of like a blotchy pink rash that starts in the face and then goes all throughout the body and the limbs as well. This lasts about 4 to 7 days. The final stage is when the rash darkens and fades, and there is peeling of the skin typically. Now, measles is a viral illness, so antibiotics are not usually recommended. Now, this isn't my department at all, so please do follow the advice of your medical doctor on this. Usually people are asked to self-isolate, stay at home with their child. And in that case, if you're just, at home looking after your child, homeopathic remedies can really be helpful. All right. One of the best books that I know on homeopathy for the measles is by Dr. Dorothy Shepherd. I'm just going to show you this book here. It's called Homeopathy in Epidemic Diseases. Now, Dr. Dorothy Shepherd was a medical doctor. She actually lived 1885 to 1952. She first trained as a medical doctor and then turned to homeopathy after being inspired by James Tyler Kent. Some of you may know that name already. She actually worked tirelessly in the poorer parts of London. She had her own clinic and worked in the hospitals there. And she describes many different remedies for homeopathic remedies for the measles. And I'm going to share those with you today. Just so you know, this book actually is still in print, which just shows you what a valuable book it is. So you can find that online or at your favorite bookstore. Now, if you're new to homeopathy or you aren't really solid in the remedy selection process, I would recommend that you seek out the advice of a homeopath. There are quite a few different remedies, and as always, homeopathy is used according to the symptoms the person experiences. The way it works is by stimulating the body to self-heal, but it has to fit the symptoms the person experiences. So you'll see these remedy pictures are all a little bit different from each other. All right, first of all, we're going to talk about aconite. Now, aconite is actually a common remedy for the measles. Dr. Shepherd talks about it for children who are naturally robust, and often the child will come down very suddenly with a high fever, a dry cough. The cheeks will be red. There's restlessness, anxiety. Usually the child is quite thirsty. The symptoms are worse in the middle of the night. Always think of aconite actually when a child comes down very suddenly with an infection, seems well the day before, and especially if they've been out in the cold, cold weather. I mentioned that with my last Facebook Live. Dr. Shepherd does caution against using aconite right across the board. You want to make sure it really fits the symptoms. Otherwise, it can kind of alter the symptoms, and then it's hard to find the next best homeopathic remedy that fits. Now, belladonna is not as useful for the measles, according to Dr. Shepherd, but you might find if the symptoms fit again, you'll give it when, for instance, belladonna symptoms are a lot of heat, a sudden high fever again, but the heat, the burning is really radiating, and the child will have cold hands and feet. The eyes will be glassy, there may be a headache, the child will be sensitive for you bumping the bed, and very sensitive to light and noise as well. Now, bryonia, the next remedy, is the most common remedy for the measles, according to Dr. Shepherd. Bryonia symptoms usually start much more slowly than aconite or belladonna. And in this case, kind of over 2 to 3 days, the cold develops, and the symptoms are runny nose, hard, dry cough. The child will want to be really quiet. The pain will be evident in the joints. The child will not want to move. They're going to want to lie really, really still. And if they're disturbed, they're going to be irritable. Just leave me alone. They might be very thirsty. Often there's a lot of dryness around bryonia, and so the child will want to drink a lot of a whole glass of water all at one time. Okay, so other common remedies in the early stages, euphrasia. Euphrasia is not a remedy that I would think of very commonly for the flu or a cold, but it does come up. And so you think of euphrasia, which is eyebright in herbal medicine, but it's of course made into a homeopathic remedy in this case, when the eye symptoms actually predominate. So there's a lot of streaming eyes, irritating, red tears, and there's puffiness and swelling around the eyes as well. There can be a headache, a cough. The cough is actually worse during the day and better lying down. And Dr. Shepherd does recommend that you keep the child indoors away from bright light for this particular section of time. Another remedy to consider is antimonium crudum. It's a great childhood remedy, not too terribly common, but it's great for those kids who are really irritable in their illness. They're cranky, you just can't please them. They have a rash kind of around the nose with cracks around the nose and cracks around the lips. The child will be cranky, and the face is hot and red like an aconite, but you won't have that anxiety or restlessness. Typically, antimonium crudum will have, if it's indicated, it will have some stomach digestive symptoms. The child will feel unwell, and there may be gagging or even vomiting easily on attempting to eat. The child is very sensitive to any kind of heat, stuffy room, or the heat of hot water bottle. They will not want that. Characteristically, there's a thick white coating on the tongue. You can look for that. Arsenicum album, although not too common for measles, can be considered if you've got the usual Arsenicum album symptoms, flu-like symptoms, aching, restlessness in this case. There's exhaustion as well. Really chilly, wants to be covered up. The person will be wanting to sip warm drinks and want constant company. They may be fearful in their illness and want company nearby. Gelsemium is another common flu remedy. As you can see, we're going through a lot of remedies here. I believe it's 14 altogether, so bear with me. We're almost through halfway. So gelsemium, another very common flu remedy, can be used in measles with typical gelsemium symptoms. Exhaustion is really present. If you were to just look at them, they might look like a bryonia, lying very still, not really moving a lot. But here in gelsemium, exhaustion is really dominant. So the person is going to be lying still, not because of the pain, but rather because they're just so exhausted. The limbs are really heavy. They can barely move them because they're so heavy. Gelsemium is more likely to occur in the summertime, actually, or in a mild winter rather than that cold winter. What else can I tell you? The eyes are at half mast. There might be swelling and tearing of the eyes, chills that run up and down the spine as well. Not typically thirsty. Ipecacuanha. Now, those of you who know homeopathy will know Ipecac for nausea and vomiting. It's a very common remedy for the stomach flu when nausea and vomiting is kind of constant a problem. There's weakness there, there is exhaustion, there isn't a lot of thirst, the rash develops quite slowly. The tongue in this case is pink, there's no coating, and there is a dry cough. Not sure if I mentioned that. Dr. Shepard actually says that this remedy will help the nausea, but also help the rash come out. Now, in the later kind of rashy stages of the measles, think of remedies like pulsatilla, Callium bichromicum, sulfur is another one. So pulsatilla will have those typical pulsatilla symptoms. A clingy, weepy, whiny child who doesn't want to be left alone. In the later stages of a cold, the rashes come out now. The nose symptoms are like yellow mucus. There's a lot of mucus. The child will be more on the warm side. And it likes the fresh air. Typical pulsatilla symptoms. Callium bichromicum has a lot of symptoms similar to pulsatilla. In this case, though, the nasal discharge is characteristic for Callium bichromicum. So if you know that, it'll be like ropey, stringy, maybe thicker. It could be very stuffed up. There's a lot of like gluiness with this remedy. The sinus congestion actually extends to the eustachian tubes and ears. And so there can be, difficulty hearing, kind of clicking noises, or like a fullness in the ear, and the glands may also be swollen. Think of phosphorus. I didn't mention that one earlier, but think of phosphorus, and Dr. Shepard does recommend it whenever there's a cold or a flu or the measles, where the symptoms immediately descend to the chest and you think, uh-oh, this is going to be a bronchitis, something a little more serious. Now, the cough is constant, it's dry, it's painful, there's a lot of thirst for cold water, and it's not a typical measles remedy, but think of it for the measles where there's that chest involvement right away. Rust toxicodendron is a great flu remedy for an achy flu where you've got that rust tox restlessness. You can't find a comfortable position. You're always shifting positions, kind of like arsenicum album. But in this case, there's no anxiety, or aconite too is always shifting. But there's no anxiety like with aconite or with arsenicum album. There's a lot of restlessness. If there's a rash, it could be itchy, which isn't so typical of the measles. Another great rash remedy is sulfur, of course, the classic rashy remedy, but only give it if it's indicated. And it is typically indicated in the later stages of an illness. So you want to think of it when there's weakness, when the person's not really recovering as quickly as you want them to or you think they should be. If a lot of remedies have been given without really great results, you also have to think of a sulfur. Dr. Shepard actually quotes James Tyler Kent in this case, who writes, routinists do well in measles with pulsatilla, sulfur, occasionally needing or requiring aconite and euphrasia. So if you don't know what to do, it's always good to have those 4 remedies on hand and give them as they are indicated. Now I'm going to talk about 2 more remedies and then we're done. Morbillinum is the measles nosode, and it is most useful, according to Dr. Shepard, for the convalescent stage of measles. After the measles has been over, maybe it's been a particularly rough or severe case, when recovery is really poor and the symptoms are lingering, then morbillinum can really help. Dr. Shepard, as I mentioned earlier, she worked in a lot of hospitals and clinics in poorer parts of London where children weren't recovering really well from the measles, weren't gaining weight, had this constant bronchitis, constant conjunctivitis, and morbillinum really helped that rally the body for recovery. Now, Dr. Shepard also talks about apis in her book. Apis is the classic bee sting remedy when there's puffy swelling, redness, and heat. It's not actually a very common remedy in the measles, but think of it when the child is really unwell. There's a lot of puffiness, swelling around the eyes and in the face, and the face is very red and flushed. And there may be shrieking during sleep. You have to think of this remedy. Now, because apis was classically used in the olden days for meningitis, if you find you do need to give this remedy to your child or you're thinking it might be indicated, please have them checked out. Meningitis is a really serious illness, life-threatening, and if the child or you have meningitis, you're going to want to go to the hospital. Okay, so again, use your common sense as a parent. You know, if there is any worry, do seek out medical advice. Just a quick reminder that homeopathic remedies do not conflict with medications, because they are the way that homeopathic medicines are made. They are used in very minute doses of substances that don't conflict with medications. So it's not like an herb or a supplement. You can safely give it. It just helps the body, stimulates the body to recover faster, stimulates the body's natural ability to heal itself. Okay, I think that's it for today. So I really hope you've enjoyed this information that I've presented here to you today. If you have, please consider donating or subscribing to Canadians for Homeopathy. We do want to just share with you how to use homeopathy at home, when to see a practitioner, and of course just let you know that homeopathy is completely in alliance with the medical system as well. We want to make sure that if you can donate any amount, and of course for as little as $6 a month or $12 a month if you want to pay a little bit more, you can subscribe. And in subscribing, you will also be able to get some perks. Like you'll be able to see our very many webinars, past webinars. Of course, you can always see them free if you sign up. Please go to our website, canadiansforhomeopathy.com, and you can see those webinars there. If you subscribe too, there are other perks as well. You get discounts on courses and some remedies and so on. And of course, you get to spread the love of homeopathy. So again, thanks for watching today. Hope you enjoyed it. Please comment below if you have any questions, and see you next time. Thanks again.